Dr. Bolson, I believe you're the last person on our agenda for this evening. Would you like to give your report?
So thank you. This was it was a lot of discussion tonight, but I guess I'll start where others left off. I think Christian said it best tonight that I mean, it's been nice to work with this board. I mean, you've worked well together, even though you've been quite comfortable disagreeing with each other and having really productive conversations. And I think the topics tonight, I mean, this conversation about the capital plan was such an important thing that we really took the time to dig into the details. And so I appreciate everyone's involvement in this. These are big decisions, and we'll be doing as much as we can to move forward and bring back, you know, really thoughtful recommendations about how we proceed through this. With that one observation by Christian, I think it was representative of so many others where he's just made such tremendously astute observations. At times, asked questions that, you know, maybe I didn't want to be asked, but they were probably good questions. So as a student board member, he's done an amazing job this year, achieved so much in a short period of time, and it's really impressive. So as others have said, I look forward to following your progress. I think you're going to make a really big difference in this world. You've made a really big difference here locally. So thank you so much for your work, and I also appreciate your support of Phoebe as she comes in. I think the work that you two have just started in the last couple of weeks, promoting this survey on racism and discrimination, I think is such an amazing start going into the next year. And I absolutely commit that the administration will take what we learned from that survey and work with this board to turn it into productive actions to better support our students. A couple of other topics I'd like to touch on. Tomorrow, the State Board of Education is meeting, and directly following that meeting, there'll be a short presentation, I think short presentation on something, the ESSA report card. One of the things that the current ESSA law that we work through requires is a financial reporting for school districts. And one of the things that's going live tomorrow, we've talked about this before, but the report cards for each individual school will now include the per pupil expenditure for that specific school. Normally we look at per pupil expenditure on a district-wide basis. So you'll be able to see, and there are so many variables that go into it, but I would encourage people to go take a look, because I think that will inspire some other conversations about equity and support and how we fund our schools locally. But that information will be made live on the individual school report cards tomorrow. So just look at the MSDE website for information related to that. We have a tremendous amount of ongoing planning. I want to start with summer school. We have already information out about our summer school for our high school students and our ASY program for special education students. Those were planned long before we had the state superintendent's announcement about the possibility to go in person. And so we have virtual plans for those coming forward. But we will take advantage of some of the in-person. I know later in the summer we have a lot of assessing to do, particularly of our special education students. We'll be able to address some of that. On our website right now is an announcement. It's really a save the date for our Stars of Summer virtual learning camp, which is something new we're doing this year to help address some of the gaps that may have emerged in students this spring because of the shutdown we had. But we're planning for those sort of unique opportunities to be available to students July 20th through August 14th. We'll have more detailed information on July 1st on the website. What we've done is created a range of opportunities. We're using some of our CARES funds to help us support additional learning opportunities this summer that we're not normally able to offer. We just recently sent information out to our staff to find the interest we have in staffing those programs, and then very soon as I said, we'll have the information out to parents to register for these additional opportunities. So we're hoping that's going to be sort of a very different and exciting approach to providing enhancement and enrichment for students over the summer. As we've talked about in the past, the planning for what might happen in the fall, looking at the scenarios for reopening. If you've taken a look at the MSDE recovery planning guide or the governor's roadmap, there are 3 stages in HCPS. We are producing a plan for each of the possible stages because, as Dr. Phillips indicated in his comments earlier, locally we don't get to determine which stage school systems are in. So we have to have a plan for all those eventualities. We have a lot of those details laid out. We've actually had focus groups. With a focus group I had the opportunity to attend Thursday afternoon and listed in on was a mixture of our past 2 years teachers of the year, but also we've invited a number, or for that meeting, we had invited a number of people who had raised concerns or brought comments to the board, or possibly indicated through our digital learning survey that they were interested in being followed up with by us to get more information. So we've been reaching out to people who've expressed an interest in the planning. And so we're doing focus groups to get more feedback on our plans as we're rolling out these really sort of challenging, never done before plans for how we might reopen in the fall, taking just 1,000 data points into consideration. With that said, tomorrow is the first meeting of our stakeholder advisory for the digital learning planning, and they'll be focused on all of our continuity of learning and how digital learning connects to that. And that's with representatives from many major organizations in Harford County, and I'll be able to talk more about those details coming soon. So just know the work is going on. There's a great deal of good thinking emerging. Some of the plans will be in writing. They should be showing up soon. They're going to be all in draft form at this point because the circumstances keep changing. But just know that there's a lot of work going on to create as productive a possible learning experience for all of our students in the fall as we address the circumstances that we're confronting. So, board, this was kind of a long conversation, but as I said, we hit a lot of important topics. I thank you very much for your participation, and I look forward to seeing everybody at our July meeting. Have a good night.
The next meeting. Okay, hold on a second. I missed. Oh, that's right. The next meeting is July 13th at 6:30 p.m. This meeting is adjourned.